Hey everyone, Aaron here. This is my 42nd review on the channel, and that is of The Familiar of Zero. Now, The Familiar of Zero is a typical romance story, and the main character is from an actual modern day Japan, and kind of gets ripped out of his own world and brought into like a mythical kind of parallel dimension type world, where he learns that he was summoned there because every character in that world has to at one point summon a familiar who then is supposed to be their guard, kind of fight for them, keep them safe. And for whatever reason, he apparently had the means of being that type of character. So it's very odd that that's the best setup for a show. I mean, it's just quick and to the point, and it works for it. It really does, in the sense that it's quirky enough that it doesn't try to over explain anything. It just goes, hey, listen, you're in this parallel world because I summoned you here. That's it. Our main character on the right, Luis, is a perfect example of a tsundere character who is very tough and acts like, oh, I'm mean and I'm strong. Don't mess with me. But realistically, it's like very cutesy and kind of shy at times, and she's very kind of worried about her body because she's a very short character, and doesn't have certain proportions that she wish were bigger. And I'm pretty sure everyone knows, if you watch anime, what those proportions I'm talking about are. But it's a show that actually's been on for a while. It's got, I think, 4 seasons out. I'm gonna review all 4 actually, because I've seen the whole show twice. I've seen the whole show twice, and it's pretty fun. It's a good show. This is the first season. The first season is pretty interesting in the sense that it sets up everything pretty nicely. It sets up very early on, because I will spoil the kind of concept. These two characters right here, Saito and Luis, will become a couple as the course of the show goes on. And they're not your typical couple. I mean, there are times where they will hit these kind of rough patches, like almost like a real couple in real life would hit. But a lot of times their romance is kind of just too mystical for the taste of romance stuff. So I mean, if you're a hardcore romance fan that doesn't like the whole kind of humorous romance stories, it's gonna be a little hard to take in their romance. But if you do like that stuff, and I personally don't mind the two when they're done certain ways, I think the romance between Saito and Luis is actually pretty fun to watch. As I said, I'll review the other seasons and kind of go into how those seasons are in terms of their romance and their plots. But for the first part, it's more so just a setup base. You meet the characters. You find out that Saito is actually a pretty confident warrior. He has to become a warrior to keep her safe. And the whole world is kind of mystical, magical based. You'll find characters fighting dragons, other people with magic. Think of Harry Potter. In a way, that's the best setup that the show has in terms of anything. It's like Harry Potter. But yeah, like I said, it's not a traditional sense of romance. It does try at times to do traditional romance, but tends to falter. I'm sorry for moving the camera so much. It tends to falter a lot of times, where sometimes these two will fight for no reason, and 2 seconds later are making up, and it's one of those shows that I'll tell you right now, I'll warn you, these two will kiss maybe, I think, 2 to 3 times of the whole show, but it takes a long time for that to ever happen. It's almost like another show that I'm going to review called Shaku no Shana. I can never say that. It's like a tongue twister to me, Shaku no Shana, which almost is very similar to this. If you actually have heard that one, never heard of Familiar of Zero, I consider watching Familiar Zero if you like Shaku no Shana, because it's very, very similar. But if I had to review the first season, and I'm reviewing all 4 of them, of The Familiar of Zero, I give it a solid B+. I know it's crazy, because I just said, it's not typical romance, it's a little goofy, but the plot of as a show progresses in the first season, it's pretty interesting. The main characters are all fun. Saito is a very cool character in the terms of he's very basic and generic, but he knows it, and he acts on it that he knows he's basic and generic as a character, but he knows he's also nothing that is spectacular. And all the other characters seem to think he's spectacular because he's from a different world and different dimension, and it kind of works for the show. And this is an older show. I think this is from like 2008 or 9, so you kind of have to forgive it for that, because that was when, at the time, anime was hitting that trope of generic mystical animation. But yeah, I mean, I liked Louise too as a tsundere character. She actually is pretty fun. She acts really sometimes overly obnoxious, even for a tsundere, but it's forgivable. And I know this is based off a light novel series. I've never read the light novel, so I can't compare the two. From what I've heard online, the light novels are actually pretty good in terms of the romance, they're a little stronger. But from what I hear, and this is again from what I hear, the story overall is actually about the same. They don't really take too much away from it. So, if you read other one or watch the show or read the light novels, you're not gonna miss too much. Anyways, though, this is the first season again. I give it a B plus. It's actually a good show. I'll tell you right now, it does have some seasons later on that are meh, and I'll do those season reviews. I will have to spoil some stuff from the first season if I have to read the other parts, but don't worry, those reviews won't come for a while because I have to do other reviews first. But anyways, guys, that's it for this review. Hopefully, like, comment, subscribe, helps me out. And as always, guys, I'll talk to you later. Till our paths cross again in the next review. Have a good one. Bye.